Hi, beautiful beings. Christy Wood Giles here, and today we're going to be talking about finding your healthy weight without eating less and without increasing your exercise. So that's not to say you're not eating well and exercising, but the truth is we're all really struggling right now to lose the weight in a way that we would normally do it, which is eating better, exercising a bit more. And there's a lot of reasons for that. Mostly what I've been doing is I've kind of been going through underneath in our systems what's causing this. And if you're interested, I have a 14 days to bust belly fat course that really explains this and looks at it. And if you go to my Facebook page, you can find when I'm offering that course. And it's really the starting point to all of this. It's where we start to get the deep down stuff that's happening. And it has a lot to do with our hormones. It has a lot to do with the signals our nervous system's sending, but it also has a lot to do with the environment that we are living in now and how our bodies are reacting to it. So it really isn't something you're doing wrong. We need to correct the foundation to fix it, and then all of a sudden it will be a lot easier. But what I also did, and if you know my story, you know that I went through almost a decade of recovering from chronic Lyme. And at one point, I was on 30 meds and supplements. And a lot of this had to do with hormonal treatments. Lyme's known to really feed off your hormones and throw the imbalances off. A lot of it has to do with immunity, which is our gut health. And a lot of that has been impaired when you're dealing with Lyme. And then as well, there's just a lot of other sort of organ damage that I was dealing with. And so the meds were helping with all of these. However, I didn't want to live on that forever. So I did a lot of things to help myself pull off the meds. And of course, that's when I really saw the weight start to soar. I won't say it wasn't happening, but when I was first getting better, I was actually shockingly in better shape physically, from appearance circumstances, but everything was wrong inside. And then as I fixed everything inside with a lot of the medications, it was kind of like things were sort of going wrong outside. So I knew some of that was side effects, and some of the meds I couldn't figure out which ones were working and not working. So I went through this long process. Basically, I came to the point where I got myself off all of them. The weight was really coming on. So I knew that there was something in the core that was wrong. So I went through all of this. And I really want to share this with all of you because with my clients, I'm seeing the same thing. And what it is a lot of things are off, especially when we're hitting middle age. A lot of things have just been working really hard over the years. We're not knowing the things we can do to help our organs and our systems and our nervous system and our gut and our immunity. And so once we recognize these things, we can actually start to repair them. So, of course, you want to be building a healthy lifestyle, but there's also some short term things you can do to repair that don't have to be things you do forever. And as you work through this sequence of events and things that you want to fix, you actually get to a place where the weight comes off easy and everything doesn't seem to be so hard and it doesn't seem to be so stubborn. And really, what you're doing is fixing all the things. So you're telling your body to burn fat when it needs to be told to burn fat, and when to store, and what it needs and what it doesn't need. And so I'm going to take you through a lot of that today. But if you have the chance to subscribe to this program, because we're going to do a series and I'm going to take you through all of these in much more depth. And so it's really an overview today. So join me and we can fix this problem once and for all. Okay, so you've heard me talk about it. And one of the first programs I talked about in this series is our cortisol and insulin resistance. In some cases, it actually becomes adrenal fatigue, which some people refer to as burnout. What is leading up to that burnout is what is causing us to hold on to the weight. So that's really an area that we have to focus on and fix that. That comes with stress management. It can come with a lot of supplements and nutrients that we add in that tell us and tell our body to relax and go into normal fat burning mode. And so that's really the core of where, especially if you're noticing it in your belly, if you're noticing it in areas that you don't normally hold it, and especially if you're noticing that just it doesn't budge. So you improve your eating, you are consistent with your exercise. In some cases, we exercise more and nothing's happening. Ironically, in these cases, exercising more could be actually feeding the problem. You want a consistent program, you want to move every day, but when you're depleting and exhausting your body, you could be feeding the program and causing it actually to get harder. So that's where we have to start. Like I said, I have a 14 days to bust belly fat program that really hits this. It really kind of gets that budge going. But we don't want to stop there because there's so much else happening that isn't helping us, that's easy to fix, that we want to keep going. And so, like I said, this is sort of a series of efforts that you go through. And when you can go through the 14 days to bust belly fat, and then you continue that program a little bit longer. Some people actually do it twice because they want to tweak some of the areas, but it's really simple changes we make every day that allow us to tweak to improve that situation. Then we want to look at what I call gut health. And I know that term's kind of kicked around a lot. And what does it really mean? Well, I want to talk about a few things. So some of what happens when we have those initial imbalances in our kind of energetic hormones, our fat burning hormones, is that we can also create hormone imbalances. And at the same time, we develop a term that people are using called leaky gut, which sort of one feeds the other. The symptoms are similar. And then, as a subsection to that leaky gut, the value of your small intestine and large intestine is also an underlying issue of candida that a lot of people are struggling with. And as much as we look at these things as three different things, they often can be treated similarly and see improvements in all of them. And as you see improvements, you can start to tweak a little bit more to look at the areas that are still struggling. And so what I mean with these areas is, you have your typical sort of reproductive hormones. A lot of people are noticing that there's some estrogen dominance. This can decrease over time, but it was something that was underlying when they were younger. And we want to look at that. And so often it's treated with progesterone related treatment. And this I had too. And initially you see improvements, but what I found is it didn't really fix the estrogen problem. It just added more progesterone to your symptoms, which can have benefits, but then I lost the value. And so um, there was an effort to actually add in other hormones and change the levels, and that started to concern me because I thought we really haven't fixed the underlying problem if this is what we're having to do. In addition to that, while this is happening, there very often has been a deterioration in, you could say, the gut lining, for lack of a better description. And a lot of people, especially over the years, if you've been active and athletic, you can notice, and it's been a recommendation as well, but you'll notice a need for more protein. And while you're doing this, a lot of that excess can actually throw off your hormone imbalances a little bit. But as well, when you're dealing with a leaky or unhealthy gut, you can be experiencing a situation where the extra protein is being absorbed through the lining And people will talk about that kind of as if it's going through a blood barrier and being absorbed into the blood. But you will start to notice a lack in immunity, possibly, and as well as sensitivity to foods. And it's been shown that a lot of these proteins, our body is um, treating it as foreign objects, it's attacking it. And so as a result, it starts to attack other proteins in our body that would normally have been fine. And so people are noticing that they're developing food sensitivities or just irritation when they're eating certain foods. And a lot of it we can say has a role in our food intolerances. So we need to fix this. And if you're thinking that, maybe it's food sensitivities, maybe it's allergies, there it's very obvious that there's an enzyme issue here where it's not breaking down the proteins in a way that your body is recognizing them and utilizing them. And so the excess protein is actually working against us. So it's fixing a part of the problem, but a lot of people are going to protein shakes to help this. And it's actually going to be temporarily fixing one part of the problem, but it's also going to be creating a worse problem in the other area, which is our immune system and our breakdown and utilization of the protein. As well, I'll just throw this in. I'm sure you've heard me say it before. A lot of those protein shakes are crap. So be very cautious when you're doing these for a multitude of reasons. And then at the same time, we're noticing, especially in women, but it can be men too, an overgrowth of candida. And some people recognize this possibly an issue with weight. I can promise you that a lot of people who address this will start to see things work better. The big thing being is candida is not, it's like an overgrowth of yeast. Imagine it like that. Obviously, the sugars we eat feed it. We have sugar in a lot of our food. So, this is part of the reason that we are kind of creating a bigger problem here. As well, the candida is going to add to your sugar cravings because that's part of the purpose that it is trying to get you to eat more because that's what feeds it. So, that hunger, those cravings are going to be there. Now, it's not a very simple process to kind of get the levels down. Obviously, decreasing the amount of sugar you eat is a big part of it. Knowing that when you have candida, imagine that it's blocking a lot of the walls of your digestive system, which can decrease your nutrient and mineral, vitamins and minerals absorption through the lining. And so that's one of the reasons, among others, that we are seeing nutrient deficiencies. These nutrient deficiencies, which I'll talk about at the end, are also playing a big role in not only our imbalances, in our body's ability to repair itself, as well as our energy, as well as our fat burning, but it's just causing havoc in our body doing the natural processes that it would normally do to, like, for example, lose weight, to recover more energy through challenging times, to help you sleep. The list goes on. So, a lot of the simple health challenges that we have these days can really be targeted to nutrient deficiencies. Now, we can argue with how nutrient dense a lot of our foods are these days, but at the end of the day, there's a lot we can do with rebuilding, regenerating our body that will help us absorb more vitamins and minerals a lot more efficiently. And our gut is really our big place to see that. It's been said that a lot of the symptoms we see in our skin can be representative of what's going on in our gut. Our energy levels can have a lot to do with what's going on in our gut, as well as I mentioned immunity. But you should also know that everything you're experiencing when you're eating, a little while after eating, in the middle of the night, have a lot to do with the health of your gut, and they're not to be ignored. So, bloating and belching and passing gas and all those kind of things, what kind of stools you're having, how regularly they are, a lot of times we'll accept these things as just who we are or how things go in our body, but they're really depicting of the health of our gut and should be looked at because they're actually very representative symptoms of where you need help. And so you can put those pieces together and sort of see where the priorities are and where you can work. And with a lot of these issues, you kind of work through them as I'm mentioning because one will build on the other. And so when I talk about that, it's really true because kind of the next phase then is looking at, I would say, organ health, but we really want to look at the liver. This is our fat burning machine. It is going to help us do all the things so easily that we want to do. The problem being, if we have all of these other problems going on, our liver is not going to work effectively. And it's best described as a sluggish liver. So it's just not working efficiently. Ironically, a lot of the sluggishness can be tied to a fatty liver, which really means is we haven't been efficiently breaking down our fat in our body anyway. Then it's going through the liver and it's not telling it to break down the fat, or it's not breaking it down efficiently, which it would normally do. And that has a lot to do with insufficient nutrients that are also providing insufficient fat burning hormones that are also then having us deal with excess fat in our system. So not only does it make our liver more sluggish, it actually challenges the rest of our system. And then we have these increased undigested foods, which, like before, we were saying can almost be appeared as toxic and going through our system, not helping us absorb vitamins and minerals from it. And so you can see the cycle that's happening here. And then we're really going to go to the thyroid. Now, yes, there's a thyroid gland. It produces a lot of the hormones. You can even tie it to a key piece of your metabolism. And often we talk about metabolism, we just really don't know how to increase it or improve it and what's really going on. But here's the thing, a lot of your thyroid hormones can be tied to what's going on in your liver. They've suggested that some studies suggest that 60 to 80% of your thyroid production is in your liver. So you can imagine that if it's not operating efficiently, what do you have? So a lot of people also are noticing that regular blood testing doesn't pick up on a huge, or I should say, doesn't show a huge parameters suggesting that there's thyroid imbalances. But imagine what if they are minor, they've just been consistent over the years, and it's causing just enough of an imbalance that you're having trouble with the weight, but not enough of an imbalance that it's being picked up on a blood test. Our thyroid health can be improved, enhanced, without actually going, especially if we're talking about it at this level, where it will improve our metabolism, improve our hormone balances, but we don't have to go to the extreme of medication to do so. So there's so much that can be done there. So if you feel like that's kind of potentially an issue for you, a lot of people will say, geez, I read up on the symptoms. It looks like I have a thyroid imbalance, but the blood tests aren't picking it up. I think you're probably potentially fitting in this category where if you backtrack through all these things and improve those, and then do a little bit to enhance your thyroid, you're going to see those symptoms disappear. And so you may not be dealing with a crazy thyroid imbalance, but you could be experiencing all of the same symptoms. And so you want to slowly work through all of this exactly as I've presented it so that you completely improve each of the areas to a point where it's working effectively. As you do that, and a lot of what we do in this process actually enhances the next piece a little bit better. So, as you work through a little bit of hormone imbalancing and leaky gut, you're going to see improvements like inflammation in your body. You're going to see a little more energy because you now have effective digestion. And then you're also going to see your cravings go down. So that will help you start to manage your candida. And when you work through things that will improve your candida load, you're then also going to improve a lot of your liver function. And so this is going to give you a little bit more efficiency that you want. As you continue to improve liver function, and you can do this really effectively with high nutrition in your system, a little bit of cleansing and detox. And that is also then going to improve all the processes in your liver. It's going to improve fat burning. It's going to improve your energy because that fat burning is really what you want to get the energy. Instead of your body calling for more glucose to get the energy, you really want to break down that fat. You're also then going to get more nutrients that you need and work towards improving your thyroid. Thyroid can have a lot to do with nutrient deficiencies. So as you work through all these things, you're utilizing the nutrients in your body better, you are processing them better, and now you can really start to taper down and see what nutrients need to be added to really take that thyroid function to its optimal level. And that's really the last piece of all of this. As you've gone through all of this, you should be seeing improvements. Not only will you be seeing improvements in your weight, you will be seeing improvements in how food processes through a body. It's kind of a lighter feeling. Your inflammation's gone down, your digestion's a lot more effective. A lot of the little things that you've noticed, whether it's with your skin or your energy or your joint pain, will have improved. And this leads you at the last little piece where you can look at now, and a lot of people can kind of get to this point, and really what they need is just a boost to cell health, which is really where I went. I used redox molecules for that, but as well, just looking at maybe it's just a really good multivitamin. Maybe there's just a small deficiency that you want to continue to work on a little bit, but it will be very identifiable at that point because you've improved all these other pieces. You've taken away the symptoms that kind of, if you were to try and figure out what nutrients you were lacking at the very beginning of this process, it would feel like all of them. And it's quite possible that it is all of them for the reasons I explained. But as you work all your way through this, now you can identify the foods that you really need to be putting in your diet every day to make sure that you're getting those nutrients. Maybe it's looking at supplementation, but it's also going to take you to the place where everything is working effectively and weight loss is not this effort. Your body is now doing it efficiently and effectively as it would normally do, as it would do when you're younger, as you would hope it will do. And so I really want you to just take a big breath, drop your shoulders, and know that this is possible. Everybody's so frustrated right now. It just seems so much harder than it ever was before. And for sure, I know that has a lot to do with my client base. We're middle aged. These things do get tougher with time, but they get tougher with time for the same reasons that I've laid out before, because over time, all of these processes become a little less efficient. So if we can go back through them and we can find and fix all of the underlying problems, they become more efficient again as if we were younger. and it won't be so challenging. It is not meant to be this hard. If you feel that you're just struggling with food, it's almost like every little item you eat shows up on your body, you're probably dealing with inflammation. You're dealing with all of these things too, but you're seeing your body react to the food in ways that it shouldn't. If you feel that you are having to exercise more and more and more to even keep it under control, then you are dealing with these imbalances and cortisols, this insufficiency in our insulin sensitivity, and therefore not fat burning as we normally should. And in all of this, like I say, we can be sure we're probably dealing with some nutrient deficiencies, all of us. And that's not helping our cause at all, because these nutrients are what help us send the right signals. They help magnify our nervous system, which sends the right signals to send the right hormones to do the right work. When all of this is unhealthy and not working to the best that it can be, it will seem hard. But I promise you, fix the foundation and this gets a lot easier. So join me. Continue to join me. I hope you subscribe because I'm going to get into very specific details on all of these things that will help guide you, take you through the process, and make you the fat burner you always wanted to be.